After the U.S. declared war on Japan, it was time to send America's men to fight the Second World War. About 6 million men were enlisted to join the fight, and American women stepped up to replace these men in the factories to help for the war effort. America started to make everything in support of the war effort, and about 6.5 million women started building products such as ships and aircraft parts as welders and electricians. They also became train and ambulance drivers, fire watchers, messengers, and air raid wardens. Even though these women were doing the same jobs as their husbands used to, equal pay was still a big obstacle for them. Victory gardens were also a strategy for the war effort. They were planted in home gardens in order to help increase food production during World War II.
The Office of War Information. The Office of War Information was created during World War II. The purpose of this government-controlled organization was to keep wartime morale up. The Office of War Information controlled the news the public received and delivered propaganda to promote the United States' involvement in the war. Propaganda. During World War II, American war propaganda was evident in every aspect of life. The Office of War Information was responsible for many persuasive catchphrases that were in favor of the war effort. Some popular ones include "Pay your taxes, beat the Axis," "Don't let them catch us with our plants down," as well as "Loose lips might sink ships." Various slogans like these encourage women to join the workforce, for citizens to buy war bonds, and families to grow victory gardens. Propaganda infiltrated all forms of media. Filmmakers and radio hosts created programs that encouraged Americans to join the total war effort. Even songwriters contributed. Patriotic propaganda songs from the time period include "Junk Will Win the War" and "Goodbye Mama, I'm Off to Yokohama." The propaganda proved effective by the end of the war, as shown in wartime production numbers and the amount of money contributed to the war effort.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt's executive order on January 16, 1942, established the Work Production Board, better known as the WPB. The WPB centralized the economy's goal to benefiting the war. By discontinuing non-war-related productions, materials could be used for necessary items such as artillery. All Americans were encouraged to support their troops, from war bonds, which invested in the U.S., to patriotically paying higher taxes. Higher taxes came as a result of the income tax pool broadening. With more people to tax came more funding for war production, eventually helping to produce the $185 billion in weaponry. Japanese internment camps were a terrible scar on our nation's history. Over 127,000 Japanese Americans were forcibly evacuated and imprisoned in camps in 1942. This was due to anti-Japanese paranoia after the bombing of Pearl Harbor in World War II. Due to an unjust executive order, citizens were put in internment camps simply because of Japanese ancestry. Many of the people imprisoned were actually born in America, and some even World War I veterans. There were 10 camps located in various isolated areas throughout the western United States. The camps often had previously housed animals and offered little protection against the weather, although the camps were not entirely inhumane. Children were offered education, everyone was fed, and the adults were offered a wage of $5 a day if they worked. In the famous court case Korematsu versus the United States, Korematsu questioned the constitutionality of the Japanese internment camps. The United States responded with the excuse of wartime necessity. Although their intentions could be viewed as just at the time, the claim for national security was actually used to justify fear and paranoia.